Computer. All right. We are back for another episode of Collecting the Precious podcast. We are doing a Comic Con preview episode. We have myself, Josh Alisar. We have the brains of the operation, Mad Eye Gamgee, and a collector friend. I'll let him introduce himself, tell you about his podcast. Tyler, go ahead and give us all the 411 on yourself.
Well, as Josh said, my name's Tyler Macklem. I'm one of the co-hosts on Lord of the Collections. I've been a Lord of the Rings collector now for a few years. It's gone quick. I used to consider myself a new collector, but it's been 4 years. So
your background will give a lie to that.
yeah.
That's different than when I was on with you guys. I like that. That looks sharp.
Yeah, I have it spread out through so much of the house, and I have a bit more around me, but I like this setup right now, and yeah, I run just my own YouTube channel where we do collection interviews, and we tour collectors and talk about their collections, and we've started a bit of the review stuff, but known Josh from the Flame of Voodoo now for a couple of years, since I think 2-3 years at least now.
At least 3.
Yeah, and so first time meeting Jim. Nice to meet you, Jim.
You too, Tyler.
I'm told you went down to New Zealand, and looking forward to hearing a bit about that trip.
Yeah, more than once. Yes. Yeah.
And looking forward to talking about some of the suspected reveals for San Diego Comic-Con. It's going to be exciting to see what it has in store for us.
So, a couple other things before we get started. I know on the screen you're going to see, when you're watching this, you're going to see Justin from Torn Tuesday. He's in the background. Pardon me. We're doing some fun stuff on the back end. He's testing some stuff out. So we're seeing how this goes with him doing some stuff. So he might decide to pop in and say hi or something. But if he doesn't, he's just there. Also, if you're wondering where we've been and why we haven't done anything since we had Richard Taylor on, not to bring the mood down, I'll keep it quick. My father passed away last month. He got very sick starting in January with pancreatic cancer. We, obviously weren't able to do anything. Life found a way to be life. So we're getting back into it now. Comic-Con coming up. Looking forward to all the good stuff. Obviously Justin and those guys have been talking about all the movie stuff with War of the Rohirrim. We've talked about Rings of Power stuff, talked about the Comic-Con panels. So if you haven't gone back and watched it, or if you didn't watch it live, go back and watch it so that way you can get all that stuff. But Comic-Con, obviously this year should be a little bit better than last year as far as panels and excitement in general, because the actors will be there. The writers will be there. We'll be able to have all kinds of real panels. It also should make getting around the floor a little easier, maybe. So that'll be nice too, hopefully. Collectibles wise, I know Diamond Select has a exclusive Gimli figure. It has a pretty cool packaging. It looks pretty neat. So if you're into Diamond Select, I expect to see some more figures from them. I'm hoping, as a fan of the Balrog, that they'll do a Balrog gallery statue like they've done with that cave troll and the Aragorn and the Gandalf the White and stuff. So I'm hoping we'll see some of those. Let's see what else. I'd have to find Matt's from Nerd of the Rings had a tweet. Some company I had never heard of has a Sauron exclusive figure, and I think it's like $110. I hadn't heard of them.
Yeah. Let's see. Beast Kingdom.
Beast Kingdom, that's what it was. Yeah, I had never heard of it, but I was like, it's $110. I know that. I'm like, it's really weird, and we've talked about this before. And it looks neat, but I have a hard time paying $110 for a figure when I think about the money that we pay for the statues and stuff. So it's like I don't mind paying. Well, I shouldn't say I don't mind. But there's a different thinking process. Like if I'm going to buy a statue from Weta, or back in the day when Sideshow was making them, or whoever, and it's a statue, I'm like, oh, I'll pay whatever this. But somebody puts out a figure and it's like, and it's $100, it's kind of like, do I really want it that bad? So, but it's a neat exclusive. So if you're going to Comic Con, there's that. Right, Funko, from what I've seen, doesn't have anything this year exclusive. So last year they had Frodo, but they don't think I didn't see anything from them, so they're out. But we'll start with Diamond Select. Tyler, I don't know. Do you collect any of their stuff? I don't know if you do any of their figures or anything.
No, I don't. I used to do the Toy Biz when I was a kid.
Right. Okay.
And then I have quite a few different companies in my collection, but none of the Diamond Select stuff.
Jim, you have a few of the Diamond. You have some of the Diamond Select stuff, don't you?
Probably, if they've made a Sam, I've got it.
They do. Remember, because I pointed that one out to you.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. Yeah, so I did get the Sam figure, and he's cool. He's good.
Yeah, the Sam figure turned out really nice. That's one of those things I've got to get around to reviewing. Hopefully now, as maybe life kind of settles down just a little bit. But I'm hoping figure wise from them. I'd like to see. Oh, there we go.
There's Sam. And his back.
Nice.
Oh yeah, they got a lot of stuff on it.
Yeah,
I think that's the Diamond Select one. But there's wait a minute. No, there's another one, I think. I don't know.
See, this is what happens when you have so many of one character. That's just has too many. Just too many. But their Sam figure is really nice. I'm hoping this year at Comic Con they have, like I said, I'd like to see a Balrog Gallery Select statue. I'd like to see them do Aragorn in his the LSR armor, which would be great, or the Black Gates outfit would be cool. I would like to see them do that. Both of those would be pretty cool. So some stuff like that. They usually have, a handful of new things. So I kind of expect to see them do some stuff as far as that goes. I'm hoping, or I should say, I'm looking forward to seeing whatever our friend Jerry Vanderstelt has at Comic Con this year, art print wise, because he always seems to have at least one or two new Lord of the Ring things for Comic Con. I think he's got an exclusive this year. I don't know what it is. I haven't been able to talk to Jerry for a minute, so I'm hoping it's Lord of the Rings related. I'm assuming he'll have a new painting, and hopefully, I don't know if it'll be tied to anything like what he's been doing with Weta. Hopefully, it's tied to something they're doing. That would be pretty cool. So hopefully, he'll have something, because I know all three of us have different things from Jerry and stuff like that. So hopefully, he'll have some cool stuff available.
But not a lot, as you were saying earlier, Josh. Not a lot has been announced.
No, it's been really quiet, and I don't know why. I mean, some of it on my end is because of, obviously, like I said, what was going on with my dad. I haven't been able to. I shouldn't say I haven't been able to, but my mental focus was obviously somewhere else. So bugging people about or trying to get some information to talk about has been not quite as much of a priority. Understandably so. I mean, I know people would say, but it has been pretty quiet. I do know, obviously, Weta's not going to have a booth again this year. They are going to. I do know they're going to have a presence at Comic Con. There's going to be some folks coming.
If they're going to do in past years, and I haven't been able to find it, they have had kind of a virtual booth, and they've had some San Diego Comic-Con releases that have come out. But I haven't seen it. I've seen a lot of new things on the website for Weta, but not Comic-Con specific.
So my understanding, and I want to be careful on what I say and don't say, because I do at least know. I do know a few things. I do still actually know a few things. But there is going to be personnel there. Their non-Lord of the Rings stuff is going to be at, I think it's the Diamond booth. So Diamond and Diamond Select, they're brother and sister companies, is what Zach from Diamond Select has walked me through, because I was kind of curious myself at one point. And so I think, like, last year they had like the DC stuff. That's going to be at the Diamond booth. So like Warhammer or any of that kind of stuff is going to be there. I do know they are bringing some stuff to San Diego that Lord of the Rings related. And it will be in an area where I don't know if I don't know. They're going to do like last year. It's going to be at a booth, the same booth that they had stuff last year. I'll say that. I'll say it that way for anybody that can read between lines and is aware. Because I don't want to say too much. But there will be stuff there. And I'll put it this way. One of the things that's going to be there is enough of a surprise that I was told we're not telling you because we want you to be surprised. Whatever that means. I'm like, now I told him, I'm like, that's not really fair because now I'm sitting here going, but it was funny. The tease that I was getting was hilarious. We were having I was having a good time laughing at the conversation going back and forth and like, hey, listen, you're gonna like this, but we're not gonna tell you what it is. So that's kind of funny. So
how does it feel?
Yeah, exactly. No, it's been a while. I mean, I don't get put. Yeah, it's been a while since I've been like, well, I have to be fair though. I will say they even did that to me a little bit last year. I didn't know about I think the Fountain Guard White Tree until like literally they were getting ready to unveil it at the panel. I was like, they're gonna have something there, and I didn't know about it till then. So, but yes, it was pretty funny. He's like, I'm like, what is it? We can't tell you. It's a surprise. I'm like, God damn it. Like, seriously, people. But there's gonna be some neat stuff. So I'm gonna let you guys speculate. Now, they may actually show some stuff too that for like what you were asking, Jim, how they do
I mean, so Weta has released some miniature statues. They've got a new King Aragorn and Arwen coronation. They've got
the classic series
and magnets and tea towels and things they're coming out with. I'm assuming it's something beyond that, but
yeah. So when it was funny when they put that email out that they were with the tea towels and stuff and everything in it, I thought it was one of the things that I had been kind of talking with them about. And I'm like, is this one of the things? He's like, oh no, it's not. We've got other stuff. I'm like, all right. So now I'm like, like that scene in Django Unchained where he's like, you had whatever, and now you got my attention. That's kind of how I just used kind of that little gif because I'm like, okay, now I'm really curious about what's going on. So they are going to have stuff at Comic-Con, physical Lord of the Rings stuff at Comic-Con. There will be Lord of the Rings product there.
good.
I do know one of the things that's going to be there, I have, with the okay of Weta, teased it on the Flame of Undune message board a little bit. I won't say whether or not it's been guessed or not guessed, but it will be there. I'm very curious to see people's reactions to it because I think it's really neat. But I also thought, to use a recent release, the Theoden on Snowmane statue, I really was digging all of that. Thought it was really cool, and then some of the reactions were a little mixed on it. I'm like, well, man, I can't read the room apparently as well as I thought because I'm like, I thought this was going to go over and there were some reactions to it. So.
Well, it sold out fast, so
it did. So I'll be curious to see what people think of this one particular thing. They are going to be introducing something completely brand new. I know that is completely new. Lord of the
Rings, a new line, kind of.
That is my understanding. Yes, it's a new line. And then, like I said, some surprise announcement that they won't even tell me about.
Well, one thing that they did say last year, given that we finally reached the end of the 20th anniversary releases, was they were not planning a new master collection item.
They're taking at least this year off, from what I understand.
Yeah, yeah, which is really good news for my wallet.
Yeah, because they've been doing Sam in some of these, and it's
I
like
know when
they do Sam, I'm thinking, no, I'm
punishing.
In all of them.
not.
Wonderful, but punishing. So yeah.
So we'll talk. Now that I've kind of laid that long ground floor for anybody watching, like, are you going to let anybody else talk in this? So before I turn it over to you guys to kind of let you speculate and stuff, I will say, because I can speculate on the surprise item that I have no idea what this is, which is kind of fun, because to be honest with you, I'm hoping it's one of two things. So I'm hoping it's one of two things. I want it to either be Gandalf versus the Balrog. Yes, I know there's the Prime 1 statue. Yes, I have that one. But I would love to see Weta's interpretation of that sequence. I think it would be fantastic. So I'm hoping maybe it's something like that. Although that could end up being a master collection piece. So, there's wiggle room to leave that out. Or, I'm sorry, Jim, this is going to cost you some money.
Oh boy.
I want Sam versus Shelob. Give me Sam versus Shelob.
Oh,
If it's
okay,
one of those two, I'm hope that those are my top two. What I want the surprise to be that I don't know about.
Yeah.
So I want it to be one of those two. That's where I'm at. The rest of it, I know, like I said, I know some stuff on that. The other stuff I can't say, I won't say, that kind of thing. But I hope those two things are there. I'm assuming that, like what you were asking about a minute ago, about like their virtual booth that they kind of do now down in New Zealand.
Yeah.
I'm hoping we'll see some classic classic series statues of something. I wouldn't mind seeing let's see who Boromir. I wouldn't mind seeing a Boromir statue at classic series. I know we had the him getting shot. Trying to think, I'm trying my mind. Hopefully, I'm not blanking on any other statues that I've missed, but I wouldn't mind seeing a non-shot up Boromir type statue. That would be kind of neat. Merry and Pippin. Give me a Merry and Pippin classic series statues would be good. Something like that. We just got an Aragorn, so we're not going to get another one. But I'll always take more Aragorn because that's my favorite character.
Mm-hmm.
But some stuff like that. So I'm obviously no master collection, so that kind of rules out any of that kind of thing. But so that's where I'm at. I'll let whichever one of you two wants to go and kind of speculate on all the gobbledygook that I just spat out on the screen.
Tyler, are you a big Weta collector? Just helms, or you?
Oh yeah, I've got, geez, I don't know how many Weta pieces now. I started with the United Cutlery and then moved over to the Weta stuff. Mostly Weta, some old Sideshow Weta pieces. None of the Sideshow stuff on their own, but yeah, quite a few Weta pieces. The absence of the master collection, I think, is kind of exciting. It's always fun to speculate on what it's going to be, and the big reveal, it's a lot of fun, even though I only own the Gollum one. That's the only one I own.
Really? Huh.
Most of them are kind of just out of my responsible budget for collecting. But they're still fun to speculate on, it's like, and without one this year, I think it opens the door. It's like, okay, are we going to get like a couple more statues than maybe we would in the past? Or are we going to get like a pretty good premium, like statues like Saruman on Throne or Bilbo and Bag End could have probably been Master Collection statues any other year that, they were complex enough. So I think Sam versus Shelob, I think it fits that, I'd like them, I'd love to see them do that piece. I'd love to see them, the moment where Sam's kind of like, let him go, you filthy. He's got the vial. And,
right. That classic.
Yeah.
The brave pose. Yeah.
Yeah. And I sound like a broken record to those on the Flame of Udun because I've mentioned this before, but I want them to do that piece with, give us all the rock, give us Shelob with Frodo underneath. Oh, yeah. And then for those who don't want a giant spider in their collection, give us that same Sam pose, but in a classic series.
Oh, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, similar to what they've done with the Fountain Guard.
By Sam and Shelob, and then just have Sam too. So nice.
Yeah, same pose and everything that way. If you don't want this, your mind knows the scene, right? And so if you're an arachnophobe or you just don't want a giant spider, or maybe you just can't afford the price tag that's going to come with that, you can still get
Yeah.
Sam in one of his finest moments fighting Shelob.
Well, I don't know if it's a sideshow or a Weta piece, but a very old Shelob piece.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It's
that's from
just,
the sideshow Wedders when they were working together. I know.
yeah. And then I got one of the little lead Sams, that's the heroic Sam,
yeah.
stuck him in there. It's not quite the right scale, but it's pretty close. So
Nice.
I've been sort of shoehorning in that scene for a long time. Yeah, just sticking with Sam for a minute, and I don't think this is going to happen, but I would love to get the wedding scene at the very end. So Sam and Rosie and their wedding, but I don't know how. I would not expect that to be a big seller. So that's just a little fantasy thing out there for me, but that would be fun.
With the aversion Weta, or I shouldn't say aversion, the caution Weta has with hobbits,
You're right.
I think
Yeah.
it's a bit safer if they go with the premium and then the classic from the
Yep.
same, because it's the same sculpt, right? You're not doing, and so I hope that that's something we see. Whether we see it this year, I don't know. It's kind of, it feels like, the 20th anniversaries have kind of wrapped up, and we're kind of in this funny between stage between the 25th anniversary, which
Mm.
a fellowship, which is coming up, what, a year, 2 years.
The
And
2001,
so
2026.
2027.
yeah. So not that far away, right? And
The 20th anniversary pieces took so long because of COVID and all
yeah,
that
that's true.
stuff that happened. It's literally pushed them. I mean, to where we're gonna be rolling into 25th anniversary pieces because all the manufacturing delays that happened because of the pandemic. So
Mm-hmm.
it's just all one big anniversary at this point, which is fine.
Yeah.
I'm not complaining at all. Not complaining at all. This is great shit, so I'm cool with it.
We'll finish
house.
We'll finish the 25th anniversary of Return of the King, and then we'll be ready for the 30th anniversary of
Sure.
Fellowship, and it just on and on until we die. I'm not really sure what to expect this year. I'd like obviously Sam and Shelob, or a Boromir Classic series would be great. He feels overdue. Same with Sam. And it wouldn't even surprise me if it was something they planned and to release for Fellowship of the Ring 20th anniversary and just never did. We saw that with Lurtz. We kind of saw that with Frodo Classic series. I'd love him blowing his horn heroically, not dying.
It's like you said with the classic series statues, because they're open editions, they allow some wiggle room to do, I think, characters like Frodo. He's one of the main characters, is the main character, and uh, because the data over the years has said they sell a little slower to do the hobbits. That's why I'm hoping we'll see a Merry and a Pippin in the classic series in their Fellowship of the Ring garb, and be able to see them in that type of a deal. So yeah, I'm with you. I mean, that's the areas where I think, like you said with Sam, I think that's the perfect way of doing it.
Well,
is give you, if you want the big piece, and I will buy the big piece. But if you're not, like my mom, who hates spiders, if she was into buying Lord of the Rings statue, could buy just Sam, because it's you're minus the big old spider. And I get not wanting a big spider in your collection, but for me, that's an important moment. So I'm with Tyler and in doing both of those. Jim, what are besides outside of Sam?
Yeah. No, you're right.
Give me what else would you like to see at Comic-Con?
Oh yeah, I don't know that I would buy it, but here's the scene, because we do these March Madness contests,
right?
And we have various matchups that are going on. But as you work through those, there are some scenes and some characters that are perpetually strong. So I don't know they could do this outside of a master's collection. But the Eowyn, Witch King, Fell Beast Mary, that scene would be absolutely snapped up in a
I
moment.
think that would have to be a master collection. I do think that because, and here's the problem: where you get into where do you include the Fell Beast? Is the Fell Beast dead? Because here's the thing: here's where it could be a premium piece. If it's just Eowyn, Mary, the Witch King, and the Fell Beast head on the ground,
Yeah,
it could be
I,
a premium statue.
I think that's it.
Any more of the Fell Beast, now you're talking master collection, and
and
truthfully honest with you, now you're talking the size of
oh yeah,
Gandalf on Gwahir, and now
oh yeah.
you're talking $4,000 for a statue. So
Here's so just have the Fell Beast head, and the limited edition has a swap out head so that you can have either the Witch King or the Witch King with a sword through his head. So
all
that's my
the crumpled up as he's turning into like a tin can. There you go. That's a good one. Anything else? Okay, so we got those. Give me what? So like you want more Sam? Don't disagree with you in the slightest. We've got
that's me. Just like you want more Balrog, I want
right,
more.
right. Yeah, and I'm with you.
And Tyler may have another favorite thing that he's looking for. So.
But, okay, yeah. I mean, that's what I want to hear more because, like I said, speculation. Give me things that you even if it doesn't pop up at Comic-Con,
Right.
give me some things you might want to see because we can approach this again because we can all get together after Comic-Con, in the fall or something as we get closer to the end of the year, kind of like when I came on with you at the end of the year to recap things. What are some things that even if they don't happen at Comic-Con, give me some things that you guys want to see maybe coming out of Comic-Con.
I would go not only with characters, but also mainly. I don't know who else does environments, but there are environments.
Yeah.
So the Gandalf Balrog battle on the top of Xeric-Sigil.
Yeah.
There's an environment, or even Balin's tomb in Khazad, or the entryway. Could be, and you could keep running. Just thinking about like the gates of Minas Tirith with Grond coming at it.
Right.
Could be an interesting. We've got a Grond, but I'm just thinking of there are really some iconic scenes that have not been treated yet in an environment, and so many people do collect those environments. Those could be another series or string of additions.
There are still quite a few environments Weta could visit, and it's exciting to think that we probably could see an environment at San Diego Comic. There's Cirith Ungol. I think the Doors of the Dead, similar to how they did the Erebor, would be pretty cool. Edoras, I think Edoras would be great. I'd like to see the whole city.
Yeah.
A
Malorn tree in Lothlorien.
Or that, yeah.
Elvish Flet at the top. So
a bigger Golden Hall would be pretty cool to see because there's so much detail in that. So there's some interesting environments that you can still do. I wouldn't mind, and I know some of the prancing pony owners out there are going to be like, you're ruining the resale value on my pony, but a bigger prancing pony would be kind of cool. And to see it with lights, like someone's in the inn and the windows are flickering. It kind of reminds me of those Hallmark Christmas nativity things, but that's just the way the pony, kind of the architecture on it is. As you mentioned, though, there was kind of some surprise thing, and I wonder maybe if it's a prop. I feel like Weta could probably do more prop replica stuff, and I mean they made so many props,
right?
That it would be cool to see them do more.
I don't think. I will say the surprise that they won't even tell me about is not props. I will say that, but the other thing that is coming that is brand new could be something like that. And I know very little about it. A lot of that is because, like I said, with everything going on with my dad, I haven't done a lot of asking. So I could see this brand new, whatever this is, Actually, you know what I would like it to be along those lines, Tyler? I would like to, you know, because I know you guys probably both have some. You remember the sword metal openers that Noble Collection's done over the years?
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
love to see them do uh smaller versions of the swords, kind of like that. Do Andril, Sting, Glamdring, you know, any of them. I mean, they're just, but Andril would be my top one, but and Narsil as well. I mean, I know it's the same sort of. I would like to see that. So I think that that would be cool. But yeah, I think something prop related would be neat, especially if you do it on a smaller scale.
Yeah. Like the
Environment,
Palantir. The
yeah,
Palantir would be
yeah.
so
Oh,
cool.
that would be
I'm,
fantastic. Yeah.
they have the thing is I know I think I can't remember if it was Daniel that was talking about it one time, if it was with us or if it was just on the board or what. But I know he talked about one time about the difficulty in doing that. But I think that they've shown over the last handful of years that they have the ability now to be able to pull that off and
Mhm.
make it look nice. The Balrog bust that they did had a nice flame. It was really well done. Um, some of the lighting that they've added to things like Helm's, the bigger version of Helm's Deep, they I think can pull that off now and make it look really nice. And they could even do it if you wanted to do two, depending on how the manufacturing costs work, to split some of the idea. If you wanted to light up, there's a light up version. It's an LE, limit. You'll make it a limited edition, and then just have a one that's kind of painted or done with the clear materials that they can use now that look really nice to kind of give it an effect if you want a slightly cheaper version that's like an open edition or whatever. But
Mhm.
I think that would be great. I hope that now you got me thinking. I kind of hope whatever this new thing is like some kinds of props that aren't like full scale, Peter Lyon made $4,000 swords, but smaller versions that maybe are, a few $100 or less or whatever that can be nicely displayed in a collection. So I'm with Tyler. I think that's a really good idea. I will tell you, I do know of one environment that is in the works, and I'll preface like I did earlier. I think it's going to be really neat. I'm really excited by it. It's going to have it's really well done. It's one that's been asked for. I don't know if we'll see it at Comic-Con. I don't think so, but maybe. I don't I it's possible. Pardon me. But it's one that people have been asking for, and I think we'll be very excited to see it. And it's going to I think people are gonna really like it. It's like I said, it's pretty cool. It is one I will buy for sure. It is a must buy for me personally, as far as that goes. But
It's an environment.
yes, yeah,
And is the word bridge in the environment at
no,
all?
no. I will tell you, it's not Balrog related. It's not. It is not Balrog related. It is
Okay,
not. Uh,
Bridge. Someone mentioned bridge.
fair, fair. I keep wondering while Tyler's getting his bridge. Oh, that's cool.
My bridge.
Ta-da.
did Kyle do? Is that one Kyle did?
No, I did it myself. It's the Bridge
That's
of Khazad-dûm. I always thought it would make a cool standalone
So
environment,
you
so I
made
just
you did custom pieces like that. That's cool. Or if I did, I forgot. I'm getting older, Tyler, so I forget some of these things.
You know
Uh,
what I would really love to see what to do? I mentioned it to Daniel a couple of years ago now, but somewhere in a warehouse on Stone Street or in Wellington is a sea can full of 10,000 mini skulls. I would love to see Weta take like 1,000 of those, put them in a little like airtight plastic container thing, and sell them because that is an excellent way for collectors like you and I to own an actual prop from the trilogy.
used in the movie.
Yeah, an actual prop from the film. I think that would be, I don't know the licensing and the technicalities around that, whether they could do it. I'd love to see them do it though.
And then you could scatter a bunch of them underneath whatever your collectible of Gimli is, and pretend that he's having to walk across them. So it's perfect.
nice. Yeah. I'm trying to think what else. Um,
Do you think that we're ever going to see collectibles coming out of Rings of Power?
ooh, no, I would say no. Uh, if Weta had stayed involved, maybe at some point. Now that they're not as involved, I mean, at least from what I understand, I mean,
Yeah,
what I read and in the trades, as they might say, like everybody else,
yeah.
uh, I don't think so. I don't think Amazon's interested in doing that. And there's probably there. I mean, for whatever reason, they're just not. Now, is there a lot that I would buy from the show? No, probably not, because I pretty much am keeping my collection built around just the trilogy and not even the Hobbit. I mean, I've sold off a bunch of my Hobbit stuff over the last couple of years, but there'd be a few things here and there that I would get if they would have done them. But I don't. I just they're not interested in doing that for whatever reason.
I would get Aglos, Gil-galad's spear, which is in the
Oh,
movie,
yeah, that would be cool.
and
I
which
right
is
now, to be honest with you, the only thing I would have probably gotten would have been I liked the armor that they had Galadriel in for I did like that. But there hasn't been a ton that I would have bought anyways. But yeah, like I said, they're just really not interested in it. It's like
yeah.
it's kind of screwy for whatever reason. So I don't expect to ever see anything from them at this point. Um,
I think we're far more likely to see the Hunt for Gollum collectibles.
yeah,
Interesting.
yes. Yeah, that I think when that movie comes out, because Weta's involved with it, Andy Serkis, Peter Jackson, all of them,
Mhm.
I think there is a 0% chance we don't see something. So I fully expect to see statues from it, um, which is fine. I would because it's not, and I love the Hobbit films. As I've said before to you guys in various conversations and stuff. So I love those films, but if I have to rank it, I like the Lord of the Rings trilogy books more than the Hobbit book. I like the Lord of the Rings trilogy films more than the Hobbit trilogy films. So my collection is going to focus mostly on, the stuff that you see on the graphic behind me. So uh, I would get stuff from that, a Gandalf, depending on what's going on, or whoever we might come across if it looked cool enough. Yeah, I would get stuff from that. So I expect that down the road. Um, in that film, when's that one due to come out? 27, 28, something like that?
26, I thought I heard.
26.
26. So
Yeah.
Oh,
at
yeah.
the time, see, that's when they're gonna have to Weta's gonna have to get a booth again at San Diego, because they're gonna have stuff for that. You'll have the
Mhm.
25th anniversary Lord of the Rings collectibles starting to come out from Fellowship. Yeah, they'll have to kick Dragon Ball Z out their spot and take it back. Tell them go take
Well,
the.
and don't forget the War of the Rohirrim too.
Yeah, I'll be curious. I expect to get collectibles from that in some manner. Although being that they're anime, it's an anime film essentially. Gentle
Mini
Giant
epics.
did that several years ago with Lord of the Rings, did anime statues. I don't know if you guys had any of those or not. Um, and now, granted, it was Gentle Giant, and they weren't always really good about sticking with stuff, which is one of the reasons why I quit buying from them, because they bail in a heartbeat. But they didn't sell super well, I don't think. And so I don't know if we get stuff from that, if they would have to and not make it anime and make it more realistic like what the other stuff is, maybe to have a broader market, or if they would go ahead and do it as an anime statue. I'll be curious to see how that goes.
Yeah,
I could see them making mini epics for the War of the Rohirrim because that kind of fits in the.
it would. Yeah, I was just thinking of that. Yeah, that's good.
That would definitely.
And we know they've already announced you can pre-order the art book. I think it's a
Yeah.
February delivery. So they're interested in some
Yes.
things coming out of it.
Um, kind of thinking more about with Comic Con and stuff. Do you guys have a guess in range of how many things you think we might see in total at between what Weta will have at Comic Con and what they might show at their event in New Zealand? I assume they're going to do an event in New Zealand. I'm basing it on that assumption. Do you guys have an idea of how many things you think we might see?
Well, I think what last year we saw, 2 to 3 1/6 scale, didn't we?
We had
Um,
we had the well, you had the White Tree and Guard. You had the Guard.
yeah, yeah.
You had I mean the Master Collection. That's a third piece.
We had the was it Mini Treebeard or was that
Yeah, I think Mini Treebeard
Yeah.
Mini
a
Treebeard.
Mini Barder?
Yeah.
I just can't. Maybe the Guard was the only 1/6. I thought there was another one, but it's funny. It was only a year ago, but it feels like it was.
Yes. Yes.
But I could see us getting 2 to 3 1/6 scale, whether that's a premium class like limited edition. I could see us getting 2 to 3 characters, 1/6 scale characters.
Mhm.
I love what they're doing with the mini line with the monsters and creatures of Middle-earth, and I hope they continue that. So I'd love to see each of the kind of the Mordor siege trolls, similar to the Hobbit trolls Jim's got in the background there. I'd like to see that come to the mini line. And more Ents. I think they have the opportunity to give us an Ent moot on our shelf.
Yeah.
And so I really hope that they continue with that. So we could see a couple of minis, whether it's creatures and couple 1/6, and we could see some surprise premium piece, or just a smorgasbord of 1/6 characters instead of a master. So
Yeah.
and maybe
Jim, what are you thinking? What are you thinking? You got that? You had that list. So give me.
Yeah, but again, I
And then
mean, Diamond Select has a lot of new stuff coming out, but I don't know how much of it's coming to San Diego other than the Gimli exclusive. But they got a Witch King and an Eowyn. They've got some dioramas with Gimli and Legolas and a cave troll. So they've got several of these figures coming out.
I think
Asmus has some stuff coming out.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know where they've been there before and everything. Osmus, Osmus has been, but I think they'll be at the Diamond booth. Usually is where they're at.
Right.
So we'll have to swing by there and see if they have anything.
Yep.
It was mentioned earlier, but a new Witch King. I'd love to see a new Witch King. I know I was very surprised when we got the kind of the Twilight version. Very cool. And I liked what they were kind of doing with the resin thing. And I wonder if that's maybe a preview to a King of the Dead. We talked about that on the Flame of Voodoo, and it would be cool to see them. Maybe they were testing the technique on the Witch King, and we're gonna get something similar with the King of the Dead. I'd love to see one with like an internal skeletal structure and maybe some lights and make it that translucent resin would be really cool. But
Weta does have something on their site, a 1/6 figure of the Witch King of the Unseen Lands. So I'm not sure got the lighting thing with it, but yeah.
No, but I'd love to see one from the Palinor Fields, an updated one.
Yeah.
It feels like, well, it's been about 20 years, and it feels like he's due for. We've got that mini one with the flame effects.
Yeah, from that that's like the PVC line or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm actually told it's the same scale as the Shades of Mordor. I don't own it. I'd like to get it.
Yeah, they're not real big, I don't think.
No, but a 1/6 Morgul Lord, I think would be really nice to see. It feels like maybe he just didn't make the cut with all the Return of the King stuff for the 20th, and they're just kind of keeping him in reserve. And now it's his hour, so we'll see.
Yeah, that would be a good choice too. That would definitely be a good choice.
I'm curious to see if Prime One. I don't know if Prime One normally goes to San Diego or if
The way that they usually do things is they end up, when Sideshow was there, a lot of their stuff was at Sideshow's booth.
mm,
And it, so I mean, now, I mean, some, I've seen some of their stuff at other places, but they don't have, or I didn't notice last year, as big of a presence because Sideshow wasn't there. And with Sideshow not doing cons anymore, um, they've decided, that doing the virtual cons is, more cost effective and allows them to reach a broader audience. Uh, I don't know what a company like Prime. I mean, I'm kind of surprised at this point they don't get a booth themselves, but kind of like with Weta, they're, overseas, and it's an expensive trip to come over here and do that, so they probably won't. But yeah, I don't know. I'm assuming there's a couple of higher end statue groups that bring stuff that they might show up. But yeah, that's a good question. I don't know what they'll do, but like I said,
there's so many new companies in the Lord of the Rings game. I can't even keep track of them all now.
yeah,
And yeah, we touched on it earlier, the Weta not having a booth. I really think that with the Hunt for Gollum, they'll bring they'll pack that big booth back up again and they'll bring it out
Hmm.
for convention. And maybe Richard, he'll figure out a way to get it included in the promotional budget for the film, and and we'll see Weta at conventions again. I really hope they come to the Calgary and San Diego again and
Yeah.
some of those other conventions.
yeah. I want to
Um,
get back to being at cons and stuff. I miss not being able to see the stuff in person, the way they had it set up, interact with them, and that kind of thing. So yeah, I'm hoping though that they'll figure out a way to make it work again. That would be really nice.
mhm.
I agree.
Trying to think of anything else. We're
I mean, it's all, yeah, we're just kind of speculating
yeah.
because
I mean,
right at the front, we
yeah,
have not had a lot of announcements.
yeah. I mean, so
So
people watching this down the road, I mean, in 2024, into Comic Con, it's been a different
it's
beat.
like tune back in for the post Comic Con show, and then we'll really know
Yeah.
what's.
We'll have, yeah, this Comic Con show will be a lot more being able to narrow focus, or be able to I should say, to narrow our focus on things, because we'll have seen stuff, um, and be able to be, and for me, I'll be able to speak on one thing that I know about, plus talk about whatever the surprise was, and be able to be like, yeah, pretty damn
There.
impressed.
Did you guess it or not? Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll be able to go, hey, I didn't know about that. That was really cool. But yeah, I
Mm.
mean, I'm looking forward to seeing what they have uh at the show, of course. I'm hoping they'll show off, like I said, at the virtual event, assuming they do one down in New Zealand. I would like to see, um, like Tyler said, some more mini statues. I think those are cool. I don't buy a ton of those, um, but I'm always a big fan of that line, just simply because I think it's a great line for people that don't have a ton
Really
of
approachable.
space.
Yeah. Yeah.
Price point's
Mhm.
not awful. Um, yeah, the Sauron is really cool, and they could do some neat stuff with it, like that with the knife that you didn't see in the movie and stuff like that. The little dagger. Um, I think those are cool. I just think they're
Yeah.
see.
I just had a birthday, and he's now in my collection along with.
So I mean, I just think those are such great pieces, as I've said before in other episodes, because of the price points approachable, the size is approachable. Um, I think it's a great line for, like what Tyler said, with like the ends. You can do the ends in those. They might be a little bit more expensive than the standard mini, but
Mhm.
you're not having to hope and pray Leaf Lock
Yeah,
sells.
it's cheaper than Leaf Lock.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just, you can do stuff like that in those lines, and kind of the same concept in my mind. Now, I don't I mean Weta could tell me, it doesn't work out that way manufacturing wise for them. But in my mind, it's the same concept, like I said, with the Hobbits and using them in the classic series, and that being an open edition piece, you can spread that cost out over a longer period of time. They don't have to be limited edition and stuff like that. But yeah, I hope we see some mini pieces. I'm very curious to see if we get any environments, specifically like the one that I mentioned, because I'm very excited about it. I like the concept, what they're doing with it, and I like the options that people are going to have. Um, so I'm very curious.
Options, he said.
I think it's going to be fun to. I think it's going to be fun. I think it's a good way of doing things. So I'm curious. I'm hoping we'll see that because I want to get my order in for it. So I'm hoping that'll happen. Uh, I'm curious to see what people think about one of the pieces that I do know about that will be there. Because I think it's a neat concept, and like I said, I've been wrong before, so we'll see what happens. But uh, I'm hoping we'll see some stuff like that. I want that. Tyler's now got me wanting that this whatever this new line is to be like mini props, so I can buy a cool have as I set my enclosed display cabinet up to be more Gondor themed as I get rid of some of my dwarves. Be able to buy like a mini Narsil that and Andril that are biggish area size that I can put in there and stuff. And so I look crazy doing this. I know people, but it's just what. But yeah, I'm hoping we see some stuff like that. Post Comic Con, if it doesn't happen at Comic Con, I really want Sam and Shelob. I really want to see that scene come to pass. I mean, even more honestly, because I have the Prime One Balrog versus Gandalf, I would almost put Sam versus Shelob, I think, above a Weta version of it, simply because I don't have that in my collection. But I'm not going to put, if Weta says, "Hey, here's Gandalf versus the Balrog. Do you want him?" Well, hell yes, I do. But I mean, we don't have, I mean, an updated, brand new with all the new techniques Sam statue. So we don't have that. I think that would be cool. I think they can make Shelob look amazing with the new stuff that they can do. I think that would be great. I want Merry and Pippin, so give me some classic series. So that's kind of where I'm at going into Comic Con. Things I want to see. If they don't, then obviously, hopefully, sometime between now and next Comic Con. But that's kind of where I'm at. Jim, you have anything?
Yeah, no, I think you've hit it. You just said Merry and Pippin. I'm thinking maybe Merry and Pippin in the ruins, the Flotsam and Jetsam scene in Isengard.
Yeah.
With a floating apple.
That would be
cool. Or smoking pipes and eating salted.
That's right.
Well, and thing with that kind of a piece too is you can do that. Now it might make some here's okay. So here I'm gonna play a slight devil's advocate before I get into why I'm positive about it. Is I know Tyler because I think he obviously ventures on Flame of Voodoo a little bit more than you do, Jim. I'd see you pop on there once in a while, but Tyler, I know, is going to know what I'm talking about. There's going to be people that are going to get upset, like, why are they not in the full Fellowship of the Ring? Their coats and their overcoats and all that kind of stuff. So I know that's going to be the complaint: is why not that we finally get them, and that's the scene that we get. But the positive I like about that is that's showing off their hobbity personality, and how silly they are with each other, and their friendship and stuff. So I think that would be cool, where you could get the wall. We've seen how Weta can do the water and make the water, and they can add the coloring to it to kind of make it that browny, crappy color that it had in the movie with the apple floating in a barrel and stuff like that. It could still be a classic series piece. It would just be a slightly larger classic series piece.
Well, that's the thing. They're not that big, right? Hobbits. And so you could do Merry and Pippin on the wall with some rock with their, feet out, and it would still be an affordable statue in terms of like two characters and some environment.
Yeah.
It's one of those scenes that you could do it in 1/6, you could do it in the mini line, similar to Frodo on the tree with his pipe and Sam frying up some sausages and bacon.
Yep.
And then the custom piece that Crazy Train made to tie them together. So I'd prefer it in 1/6. I think it would make a great statue of Merry and Pippin in 1/6.
Mhm.
I wouldn't mind also seeing them strapped to the Urukai's backs, and you could collect either of those. I think that would be kind of fun. But it's not my first choice, you know. Um, as far as Gandalf versus the Balrog, like a Weta one, I would really like to see that as well. I think the Prime One piece is good. I just think there's a couple things that irk me about it, and I'd like to see Weta's
Yeah.
how they do it, because I don't think anyone does rock and environment as good as Weta does.
Hmm.
And there's a lot of rock in Moria.
Yes.
And I'd love to see them do that, and how they would do it. I think the time is approaching where I'd like to see a really like a resin with lights in it Balrog by Weta.
Hmm.
And I'd love, like, somebody made a custom one a couple years ago, but I'd like to see one like, and the Prime one, it's just in the main kind of and his sword. And
Yeah.
I think, but I'd like to see it throughout the whole thing. Like, I
Wow,
want that thing
pretty amazing.
looking like it's made of lava. And I think Weta has the ability to do it now. But I think it's something maybe we'll see at the 25th anniversary of Fellowship of the Ring.
Yeah, I could
That
see.
seems a bit more an appropriate time for that. Um, and probably a Master Collection piece if it's versus Gandalf.
They're gonna break my budget doing that. Then that'll be the
Well,
final.
better to pass that on to you, buddy, instead of another Sam.
Another piece I wouldn't mind seeing actually, and I don't and I'm not expecting this or anything. As I've said before, I want an updated Moria of some kind. I mean I don't know. I mean the original is great, and I do love it. I have it. I'll keep it. All that kind of wonderful stuff. But I'd like to see the way that they've gone back and redone Helm's Deep and Argonath
Mm, mm.
and pieces and redo Moria in some way, um, like that, where even if it's not, I mean, obviously, even if it's just like that main hall where they first interact with the Balrog and you just got some of the pillars and some of that stuff, that would be cool. Or you could break Moria down into a couple of spots. You could do Balin's tomb area. You could do the hallway. You could maybe do a couple of pieces, and it's all part of the like a little Moria sequence or something. But that's another place that I would like to see them do. I don't expect that at Comic Con, so I'm just throwing that out there for them to, if anybody from Weta watches this and
Yeah.
what's an idea.
Weta, they're a little different in the sense that I think they're not primarily a collectible company, right? Like they're an effects company. And I think at the heart of a lot of what they do is just being creative and just art. They like to be, and so an updated Moria, I don't know how they do it, but I'm not an artist. I have some artistic things, but not in that sense. And so I think it's a great piece that would challenge their creativity and their artistic ability and how they would bring that to your shelf from the drawing board.
Right.
So I could see them tackling it just based on the challenge, you
Yes.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
and having
like uh Galadriel and we're in the forest and stuff. I think that's why they'll eventually tackle that because it pushes them artistically and gives them something to really try and shoot for. So I agree. I think they can pull that kind of stuff off, and I think they'll take the challenge eventually.
Mhm.
Jim,
got to
you
visit with Richard Taylor at the Weta Workshop last December, and I think you're exactly right that on the one hand, the artistic challenge, the ability to not only bring beauty but evoke a memory or a moment,
Mhm.
a particular character element is
Mhm.
big. Simultaneously, it has to sell. There has to be an economic reason to make the piece, as much as you would love to make some things. So the Hobbits are an excellent example. I think there's great affection for the Hobbits, but the reality is the Hobbits don't sell like the Nazgul do, apparently. So
Yeah.
Well,
um,
it's like,
that's
I mean,
part
a
of it.
piece that we've talked about before, and I know like Ithilden when he watches this. You know, we got to keep pushing for, and we brought it up when we talked to Richard. We got to get Denethor made at some point.
Yep.
And I do think he gets made. And I think,
Yep.
and I took when Richard was talking about it, that it is one, I think it's one of those that they will eventually do. I do think he gets made. But yeah,
You could take the Balrog idea and have Denethor on fire.
nice. Does he have a light up effect on his back?
Right, absolutely.
That's what. See, what they're going to do is they're not going to put the light up effect in the Balrog. They'll put it in Denethor, so it looks like he's, it sparkles on his back and stuff when he's running. But
If we were to get a Denethor, I think there's two poses I would like that really sum up, like you were saying, the character, like the emotion of the character, and just by looking at it. One is him sitting on the throne, holding the split horn,
Yep.
just kind of mourning. That's when I think of Denethor, I think of that. But then the other scene I wouldn't mind is when he's standing on the tomb and he's holding the torch and he's like determined to burn everything. And just before he drops it, and that's also what I think of. I think of sorrow and madness. And either of those poses I think would be pretty cool.
Just don't give me where he's eating a damn tomato, please. That's gross. I hate that.
Yeah, no tomatoes, please. I know there's lots of tomato. Anytime Denethor's mentioned, there's tomato jokes.
Always somebody that goes, I really want him eating the tomato. Why?
I know, right?
I just never understand that. I'm like, I mean, hey, to each their own, and I'm not trying to crap on anybody for wanting that particular, but I don't get it. I'm like, that's one of those cases. I'm just like, I understand the meaning behind it from a movie perspective. There's meaning to what Jackson is showing in that sequence, with the tomato juice signifying like blood and stuff like that. I get all of that. It works from a movie perspective. From a statue perspective, I'll equate it to the same as Radagast the Brown. I like that statue. It's one of the few Hobbit statues I'm going to keep. One, because I had Sylvester McCoy autograph it when he was here in Kansas City.
Oh, good.
I hate the bird poop. Hate the bird poop. I understand this, what they were doing. Again, it's one of those movie things. I get it. They're signifying the love for the animals. He just lets them do whatever. Cool. I get it. I just, no. I don't like
you can get that.
Eating a tomato with like blood dripping down his face. I'm like, I just don't need that. So please don't.
You can get his hat now as a quarter scale thing from Weta.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah, really?
And I'm sure it comes, bird poop attached. So yeah.
No, that's what I'm gonna dress up for. I'm gonna dress up for Halloween this year's Radagast.
Talk of tomatoes and autographs. It reminded me of the last convention I saw Sean Astin in. And whenever I think of tomatoes, I think of potatoes too, right? And funny story of when I was in line to get something signed, and one fan in particular got Sean Astin to sign a potato.
Actual potato?
An actual potato. It's like, that's an expensive potato.
Well, and it's gonna, it's gonna go back
to lack it or something.
Stuff and everything.
The only thing I can think of is maybe this guy put it in resin and made a paperweight or something out of it.
Yeah, dude.
Otherwise, but even then it might rot. I don't know.
Yeah, that's an interesting choice. Bold. I like it. What was his reaction to it?
Yeah.
What was his reaction to signing it?
Oh, he thought it was pretty funny. Sean's pretty fun to talk to, and he'll give you a couple of good stories.
That's cool.
I got him to sign his ears that Weta sold.
Oh yeah.
Get his Hobbit ears.
Yeah.
I'm trying. I think
I've met all 4 hobbits now, and if to anybody watching, if you have the chance to meet them, do it. It's a great experience. They're phenomenal to talk to. They're very down to earth and just friendly, and they'll talk to you for a while, and it's just a fun experience. So if you have the chance,
that is true.
And you might be like, well, it's expensive, or I don't know if I want to pay that much for an autograph or a picture, but you never know if you'll get another chance. you know, and with Bernard Hill, who just passed away recently, you know, you always kind of think you'll have another chance to meet some of these actors and you know, get something signed or just talk with them a bit, you know, and you never know if you won't get if you'll get a chance again,
Yep.
you know, and so I would highly encourage anyone watching who's got the opportunity to do it.
Oh no, I agree. Sylvester McCoy has been to Kansas City, and like I said, I got his autograph. Um, John Rhys Davies was in Kansas City this March. I didn't get a chance to get there because my dad was in the hospital.
Mhm.
But it's one of
That's
those.
another guy who's great to talk to. He's delightful.
I was really
Oh,
looking. I was looking forward to going and taking my Gimli, one of my Gimli statues, and have him sign the base and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, Sylvester McCoy was very nice when I got a chance to talk to him.
Oh,
He was really cool. So yeah, I agree with Tyler. It's one of those situations where yeah, I think if you get a chance to meet these people, the Lord of the Rings people in particular,
yep.
are generally all seem very very nice.
There are one or two exceptions, which I will not mention. But
Yeah,
you're exactly right.
yeah. I mean, oh, there we go. Yeah, you got his axe signed. Yeah.
There you are.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He has a larger than life personality.
He does.
And
He's great.
he was so fun to meet. And at the panel, they had to drag him off the stage. He just wouldn't stop talking.
Yeah.
I don't blame him. I don't blame him at all.
It's like everybody's grandfather. He just
Yeah,
loves
yeah.
with
Well,
kids.
and, you know, he was in obviously Lord of the Rings, and but also playing Sala in Indiana Jones over the years. I mean, it's he's been in a couple of big franchises and played characters that people really are attached to. I mean, he was one of the people when I saw the casting for Lord of the Rings. I was like, oh, they got Sala? That's nice. Because that's where I knew him from first. I mean, that was, you know, because watching Indiana Jones as a kid and stuff growing up and everything. It was that was my first, you know, remembrance of him. So that was, yeah, he seems lovely. And I hope his health holds and I hope he's able to come back to Kansas City, you know, next March or in the future because I would like to have the opportunity to take my Sideshow Weta Gimli base and take it up there and have him sign because
Yeah.
Gimli was my dad's favorite character. So I would love to be able to get that sign and have that and be something that I can think of fondly, you know, both the moment and the movies and my dad and all that kind of wonderful stuff.
So we've speculated a lot on what we might see.
Mhm.
We don't have a whole lot of hints, and so I thought it might be kind of fun to move past San Diego Comic-Con and maybe speculate on the Master Collection. When it makes its return,
Mhm.
when do we think it will come back, and what would we like to see in the next Master Collection?
Okay, that's a good, yeah. Jimmy, you go first.
It's obviously at least a year. I kind of got the feeling from some of the when they were talking about taking a pause that it was possibly going to be more than 1 year.
I can see that.
So they might give it at least 2, maybe 3. And as I said, I think if I was just thinking about something that would sell, man, I would go for that Eowyn Witch King scene. Because I just think that is so popular with so many people. And it includes, I don't know what, Josh, if you've done a survey of or your sense of major collectors, and do they tend to be guys like us?
Yeah, probably a lot.
But that would be a popular piece among women as well as men.
I am I agree. I think it's at least honestly, I think it's probably I think they wait obviously the
Till the
not
25th.
and I think they wait till the 25th to bring it back.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these, from what I understand, having talked with Weta and other collectors and stuff that know things, it takes them a couple of years to go from planning stage to executed stage of collectible that we see to get to that point. So my guess is it's 2026 before we see it, because they're probably talking about it now and
Yeah.
going through those creative processes of just talking, not doing. And I think they're probably, I think they take the same approach again, similar to what they did with the 20th anniversaries. And one piece is meant to touch, pardon me, on each film. I don't think it's obviously not going to be Frodo's journey, because they've done that. So they're not going to do that again. My guess is 2026, you see a Fellowship of the Ring Master Collection. And I think it's probably, I could very see it probably being like Gandalf versus the Balrog. Because if you're not doing Frodo's journey again, obviously, you need a big moment. You need a big moment that's going to sell. And I think that's probably one of the biggest moments from Fellowship of the Ring.
What's interesting, if they do another 25th anniversary series, so with the 20th anniversary, it was all about the Frodo journey. And so it started with the Gandalf and Frodo onto the cart, and it went to Escape from the Road, and then it went to the Dead Marshes, and then it went to Salvation at Mount Doom. And every one of those Frodo is prominent, and then Sam picks it up after the cart.
Right.
Interestingly, I do this online walking program. The
with the medal. Yeah, I know which one. Yeah.
And you get the medals and so on. And they did basically the Sam and Frodo journey. And then they came back with a second series, and they started looking at the alternate path. So, I'd wonder if, for example, that they would do an Aragorn, because we end with a Return of the King. And so do a Masters series that's Aragorn centric, but then draws in various things. So you could see, an initial one with Aragorn in the Inn at Bree. And so there's some kind of a scene going on, whether it's in the common room, or up in the staircase where they're all, I'll have at you Longshanks kind of a scene, or something, or it could be a lot of different scenes. Fellowship, but Aragorn centric. They could do something in Rivendell. They could do something in Moria. And then kind of track with that through. Could be an option.
I like that idea, Jim. I could definitely see them doing Strider and Bree, with the pipe in the corner. I know they did that in the mini line, but I would love to see that in a 1/6 scale, because I think it would just do it better. I'd love an Aragorn at Helm's Deep.
Yeah.
We don't have one. I know there's kind of a sideshow diorama in an odd scale.
Sure.
I'd love to see that. I love him at Helm's Deep. I'd like and you could do him at the Black Gates. And you could kind of show that journey from grubby ranger to king. And
you can even have him fighting the cave troll at the Black Gate. So
yeah. I'd love to see that done.
Not the cave troll, a war troll, whatever that troll was.
Yeah. I kind of wonder if they would do. I love that idea. I don't know if it's Master Collection. Like Aragorn sitting in the pony isn't necessarily a Master Collection.
But that could be a nice premium. You could do a premium line of Aragorn, if not.
Yeah, a premium line.
You could do like a premium series and do that. That's why, for me, I'm thinking like
the big moments from each film.
Right, like big, yeah. That's what
iconic moments from each film.
That's kind of where my headspace is at, based on your question, Tyler. Is more like big moments versus story. I like the story idea, what Jim said, for a premium line, because some of those moments, like sitting in Bree, that's kind of an intimate moment type situation. More so like than, although I guess you could say that kind of with Gandalf and Frodo on the cart, it's kind of an intimate moment type thing.
Well, yeah. So if you wanted a really epic scene, you'd have him, Aragorn at Weathertop fighting a bunch of Nazgul.
Right, you could do that.
Right.
Yeah, but that's my headspace is more like epic moments. I could see them even approaching even though we've done them individually kind of now with the Battle of the Last Alliance, I could see a master collection piece of that battle, but this time having Isildur, Elendil, Gil-galad, and Sauron, you know, on there, maybe some kind of big ass piece, maybe do something like that. I could see Gandalf versus Balrog as a moment. I mean, if you're looking for kind of like epic moments, if you're focusing on that, Two Towers to me, you get. I think that's where you could get an Aragorn Master Collection is the Battle of Helm's Deep situation. You know, take that sideshow environment that, you know, diorama that they did, but better, bigger, you know, the techniques for today, what Weta can do, all that kind of stuff. You could find a way to do that. And then yeah, I think Return of the King, then you start looking at things like, you know, the you know, at the Black Gates, you know, the him battling the troll. I could see I think maybe your leading candidate is Jim's idea of Eowyn versus the Witch King, and being, to me, that in some ways might be, because if you're not going to do that, then you have to do Aragorn. I think either the crowning ceremony where you get like Aragorn, Gandalf, Gimli, the crowd, maybe the "You Bow to No One" sequence, something like that. Black Gates would be another great choice. That would be one I would really like to see. But yeah, to me, I think I almost you know, because you've done the destruction of the ring essentially with, you know, with the Gandalf and you know, rescuing, you know, with Gwahir and rescuing the hobbits. You've done the destruction of the ring, so you've taken the biggest moment of that
Oh
film.
no, that Samoth now or Frodo
You
with
could
the
do
Holding
that.
it up would be pretty sweet.
Gollum coming up to him, and
Yeah. To me, I think I think your idea is probably, I mean, if I was going to put money on it, I would put money on your idea. I really think that that's a really great idea for a master collection for Return of the King, because it's a badass moment just in general. And you know, the three of us would like something like that. I think, I don't know if we necessarily would be able to afford it or buy it, but we like it. Um, but then you also get, you know, for any of the collectors out there that are female, that's a badass moment to represent something that might mean something to them. You know, this female character that really showed her stuff, that said, you know, the whole "I am," you know, I'm no man,
I
and
am no man. Yeah.
showed off her power and stuff like that. I think, to me, that one could really snag some folks in that regard too. So um, I think that would be the leader in the clubhouse for me going into Return of the King. Um, but Tyler, my thought is we see probably a 2 year break till the 25th anniversary. At least when I say 2 year break for people watching this, I'm talking about actually seeing a physical statue. If they're if they're doing stuff, they're already planning Fellowship of the Ring,
Yeah.
being you know, master collection for the 25th. That they have to, because it takes so long to pull off what they're doing, because, you know, unless they ratchet it back down to like Gollum, that first Gollum piece, or even really the Gandalf and Frodo on the cart, which are more simplistic than where they went for the next few, they need lead in time. So yeah, I mean, my thought is at least 2 years before we see a physical statue.
Yeah. Well, and like they definitely, I think they needed the break, and it was a good idea to take that break. I mean, poor Gary Hunt was probably still seeing feathers in his sleep. And you touched on it a little bit, Josh, and I was going to mention it. But I also don't mind the idea of maybe returning to, maybe you could call it the roots of the Master Collection, which was the idea behind Gollum, right? It was to do the best version of that character possible that they could do. And I think they spent like 2 or 3 years developing Gollum.
Right.
And I think it's the best Gollum
Oh
collectible
yeah,
ever.
without a doubt.
It's a spectacular piece.
So I would be okay too with seeing them like, okay, we're gonna make the best Gandalf money can buy, or the best Aragorn. Like just do a character, but
Interesting. And then it becomes a question of, well, what's the environment? Because the Gollum piece is really enhanced you know, in the pool and the stuff that's in the pool and the hair elements and so. So yeah, and then where would you put those kinds of characters if that's
Yeah.
the best possible version kind of a deal?
Yeah. And
And who
there's
would
a few options depending on, but it would be kind of neat to see their take on, well, this
Yeah.
is the best Gandalf we can do, or the best Balrog, or the best, and you know, over the years, it's the Master Collection has kind of ballooned into the, I want this scene represented in Polystone in a collectible form, right? When you look at where it's gone from, where it's just a single golem, and then it kind of, you see the transition a bit with Treebeard, with Merry and Pippin, you know, and it's like, okay, yeah, they're at Isengard, and then we get more of that scene aspect of Frodo and Gandalf on court. You know, you can kind of picture the scene in the film when they're talking, and then it really goes into, well, then we kind of take a bit of a detour, and it's Thranduil on Throne, you know, out of left field. And then we get back to the Frodo, you know, and it's escape off the road, and it's just creating these scenes. And I kind of wonder if Weta kind of, they've gone and it's like, well, how do you make it bigger than Gandalf on Gwaihir? It's like every year the
you know that,
danger is trying
yeah.
to like top yourself every year, right?
And that's the
And that's why they're taking the break that they are taking.
I think that's right.
Because I mean, from what was explained to me, just in you know, this isn't like secret scroll conversations that I can't talk about or anything, but they were just artistically exhausted because they had been ratcheting up to tell the story. They had to ratchet up the difficulty for each following, you know, master collection piece, that they kind of just were just worn out. So yeah, I'm also I think that's a good question, is what does the evolution of the master collection look like if it comes back in a couple of years, you know, for the 25th anniversary? Do they decide to do like you said, like the best version of Aragorn or Frodo from Fellowship of the Ring or something? You know, do they do the best version of so and so from Two Towers and then Return of the King or whatever? Um, I think they probably stick to more of the scene element. Because realistically, even though the Golem is kind of a self-character centric piece, it still tells a story of him in the ring in a scene kind of sequence ish, not as much as what came down the road. Treebeard, more kind of scene of them walking through, you know, Fanghorn Forest and stuff, and then they get into the full kind of scenes and stuff, especially with the telling of Frodo's tale. But yeah, I'm curious too. That's a good question. I think the evolution is going to be interesting. My gut says they stick with scenes. Hopefully, they're saving up their energy because they've set a pretty high bar with what they did the last few years, especially. I mean, they're all amazing statues. I mean, as far as the master collections go, but you know, when you're looking at, you got the Treebeard being really just, you know, one, you know, probably in the top two or three. That the Dead Marshes is incredible with the stunt that they were able to pull with the lake and then underneath and how all that was, and then you know
yeah, as you say, they keep pushing different artistic boundaries.
yeah, and how simply can you get it to people?
Yeah,
I mean, I know they're experiencing some issues with the Gandalf on Gwaihir. Some of the wings are showing up to people messed up because it's just, you know, it's a fragile piece, and it's on that edge of what can be safely shipped. I think eventually they're going to get to a spot with some of their master collection pieces, um, like with the Gandalf and Balrog from Prime One. It's in two boxes. I have two massive boxes.
And that's the way that Escape from the Road was too, or the Gandalf and Cart was two boxes.
It was two boxes. Yeah, I think they're gonna. I think they're eventually gonna get to a spot, depending on, well, like with your idea of Elwyn and the Witch King and stuff on Pelennor Fields. I think that might have to be two boxes in order to pull it off properly. to make sure it's
Well,
shipped.
and then you run into the economics question.
Then you get into this shipping. Yeah, the shipping becomes
It's like Escape from the Road. That was the only problematic one that I had, because it had Sam in it,
right.
and it is a monstrously heavy piece,
Yes.
markedly heavier than anything else that I don't know. Maybe Gandalf on cart if you try to pick the whole thing up at once, but compared to the Dead Marshes, very heavy, and the horse was problematic for me. I had, a little piece that was broken off in shipping, and we tried to fix it and it didn't. So, I won't tell you where it is, but there's a glue seam on there somewhere. So,
Yeah, we've
Speaking of
all got a
horses,
few of those.
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Speaking of horses, it's coming back to me. I do remember a hint being dropped on the flame that we were going to see 2 rider pieces this year. And I know we've gotten Theoden,
Uh-huh.
and I'm wondering what the second rider could be. I have no idea. But
I
I
know.
could see it being Faramir
A
in
rider. What
charge.
about Dernhelm and Mary?
That too. I could also see that because that would pair nicely with Theoden and Éomer, and you kind of have
Yep.
the 3 rider kind of pieces. Or I could see a Gandalf on Shadowfax happening. Gandalf sells well, and
One that I knew about that got canceled. I will tell you that.
what's that?
There was one that I knew about besides Theoden that
Oh, okay.
that got canceled. It just they just didn't end up liking the idea of how it was coming along artistically, like what we talked about, and it didn't update the
Character well enough.
yeah. It was like they're like, it's just not enough, so it got canceled, and that's why uh, before on on the forum and stuff when we've talked and everything, and people are like, well, why don't they tell us what's coming? Well, because if they told you that this statue was coming and then all of a sudden it got canceled, people would be upset because, oh, I was really looking forward to that one. Well, if you don't know what's coming and it
Oh,
gets
you weren't. We know better. You weren't.
so, but I don't know. I would suspect I could see any of those options being a good choice for another writer piece. As far as that goes. But one of the ones that I knew about has been canceled. I will say that. So I'd have to go back and look at my list from last Comic Con and see what is left on it. I don't think there's not much left as far as that goes. Let me see. Let me see if I can find that. One of them you're going to see at Comic Con, I think maybe. Yes. Yeah, it's almost entirely after let's it'll be all lined out soon, so I won't have my list will be checked off. I'll put it that way. Sooner rather than later, as far as that goes.
Does it kind of feel like we're kind of in a bit of a lull, where in the sense that Weta really came out with a ton of stuff during the 20th anniversaries, and we're just kind of getting the tail end of those pieces that they had planned out, and we're not quite into the. I'm assuming there'll be a big gear up for the 25th anniversary, and there'll be Hunt for Gollum stuff, and that'll be a big year for collectibles and just Lord of the Rings in general. And
Yeah.
do you guys get the feeling that we're kind of in a bit of a valley or in a bit of a
That's
slow
probably right.
period? Just
Yeah, I think that's fair. And,
yeah,
and what's crazy is we say that, but when you look at what's coming, we still got the Grey Havens coming, still got
right.
Aragorn, you got LSR and Arwen, Coronation stuff coming. Theoden is supposed to be out by the end of this year, I think. So we're in a lull, but it's not a cheap lull, that's for darn sure. I fortunately, at least for my pocketbook, I mean, for me specifically, Weta's going to send Aragorn and Arwen for me to review. So I told them I'm very appreciative of that because I was going to buy them, but that saves me a couple dollars to put towards like with Grey Haven's coming out still and that kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, we're in a lull. We're in a definite, or a slow period, which is not bad because the last few years have been just rocking. So it's probably good for them to allow them to plan out what the 25th anniversary time period is going to look like. Hunt for Gollum now that it's been announced. Start getting some things really going that haven't already been going for them. But yeah, I think it's definitely a little bit of a slow period, but that's slow in maybe not so many announcements, not slow in how cool they are or how they're going to hit your pocketbook necessarily. But it's I'll be curious, like I said, and that could change it. And the thing is maybe they've let us go settle into this little bit of a slow period because they're about to slap us silly at Comic-Con in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
That could always be that. I mean, that's kind of seems how it's been. Maybe not quite as much, I think, with the anniversary stuff. You know what I mean? But it does seem to kind of work that way a little bit. You get a little bit of a lull after the first of the year ish, and then Comic-Con's like, oh, hey, surprise! Here's a whole bunch of shit you're about to spend all kinds of money on for the next year. And then in January, it slows down a little bit again. And then you go, hey, here we go again. It's July. How about all this wonderful stuff that's going to ship in December when Christmas hits? So
Yeah.
And then before you know it, Lego is going to come out with another massive set, and we got to shift out of Weta entirely.
Well, yeah, we didn't even talk about Lego. I mean, they have a booth at Comic-Con too, and I mean, who knows what they might. They usually have a couple of neat surprises.
I've been hearing something about Hobbiton, some form in Hobbiton.
They might, yeah, here a few years ago they did something with that too, and I'm curious.
They got to do Minas Tirith.
Yeah, that's the thing is I want to get Barad-dûr, but that thing's like what, $500-600 probably. I mean,
well, you need a loving wife and a birthday.
Well, my birthday's coming up, but I don't have a wife, Jim. That's a problem, and
I'm sorry.
It's going to be a little hard to get one of those by October.
I hear you.
I don't think Russian mail order brides is probably my best route at this point to go. Right. So maybe
this year it does feel a little different in the sense that the last 3 years we've kind of had it's going to be Fellowship of the Ring related because it's the 20th anniversary of Fellowship of the Ring and Two Towers. So you could kind of guess, and you could kind of you're like, well, we're probably going to get something. We're going to get something related to that film. This year, it's like, well, I have no idea. Maybe there'll be something left over from Return of the King that they just couldn't slot in.
Yeah.
But they could send us a curveball, and it could be Fellowship, or it could be whatever. I don't really know.
We're in a period where they, to be honest with you, in some ways they have the freedom to do whatever they want, which has got to be kind of nice for them to be able to say, hey, if we want to put a piece from Return of the King out, we can put one out and it doesn't really matter or whatever. So that's good for them, I think, because next year they might have to, you might start seeing more Fellowship of the Ring themed pieces again because they kind of start etching towards that 25th anniversary. But yeah, I'll be curious to see. But yeah, like I said with the Lego, if they do Minas Tirith, I might have to get that. I'm just not. Yeah. That's one of those I might have to figure out because I really. Oh yeah, I love that Weta. The Weta version is. I mean, I'll stand. I'll stand on business, as the kids might say, and that to me is still my favorite, best environment that they've done. I just really the detailing in it is fantastic. So. But yeah, if Lego decides to show off Minas Tirith at Comic-Con, that would be pretty cool.
That would be cool.
I would be cool with that. Well, we've been going for about 90 minutes now, I think. Close to 90 minutes. Probably close this one out. Any last thoughts before we go? Last things you're excited to see about Comic-Con?
Yeah. Well, Josh, you and I are going to be in San Diego together, and I think we're talking about maybe trying to do a little wander through and see what we can find. So that will be fun, I hope.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to doing that. And we need to talk about whether or not maybe if I bring my tripod, maybe we can film something in the hotel room. You know, just
That'd
you
be fun.
and
Yeah.
BSing or something. Try and figure something out. Maybe if we can do that, if I can figure out how to make all the technology work like it's supposed to. But
I hear that.
that'll be fun. I'm looking forward to uh, going around and showing you some of the stuff there and
Yeah,
everything. It'll be kind of neat.
I can use the help.
Tyler, you got any last closing thoughts?
I'm looking forward to it for the first kind of while in a while. I'm not really, I have no clue what they could be. Before you could kind of speculate on stuff. I have no idea. I'm looking forward to seeing what they have, and maybe we'll get a curveball. Maybe we'll get like Odo Proudfoot in the mini line.
Proud feet.
Yeah, which I would definitely buy. Like that. He's such a fun.
That would be a perfect statue for the mini line.
It would be. I'm just looking forward to seeing what we get this year, and it should be fun. And I hope there's an online reveal too of the stuff. And it's an exciting time when you're as a collector, because it's kind of like collector Christmas. If
Yeah,
you're a Lord of the Rings collector, it's kind of like Christmas morning. And so and then you wake up and it's mini epics, but no, I'm kidding, Middy. But it's exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing what they get, and hopefully one day getting down there myself. 2026, I think, sounds like the year to go down there. That'll be because they'll have Hunt for Gollum promotion stuff. So maybe I'll make it down there then. But until then, I'm looking forward to seeing the reveals.
Cool.
yeah, I think Nerd Christmas is the best way to put it, and I think I probably refer to it that way as well. It's really neat in general, but obviously the years where Weta and Sideshow for that matter were there. It was really Nerd Christmas because you just got to geek out over a whole lot of stuff. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what's there, what they show online, um, and talking to some folks and kind of planning out the next what the next year is going to look like, and how I can help, you know, promote Lord of the Rings collecting and stuff like that because I enjoy the hell out of doing that with Jim and doing it here on the OneRing.net and just helping make sure people continue to participate and so we can keep getting this stuff. So we'll get back together after Comic Con. Like I said,
Yep.
I know we talked for about 90-ish minutes here this time, but it was kind of a lot of Comic Con speculated what the future might be stuff, but we'll be able to kind of narrow down on what we saw, what we liked, didn't like, and that kind of thing. We'll be able to do that after we get back here in a few weeks from San Diego, and they're able to kind of collect our thoughts. Probably try to grab you back, Tyler, and maybe see if we can get your sidekick Valkyrie. See if we can get him on. Maybe there will be no soccer matches this time. We can maybe we'll call the Euro leagues and tell them, hey, you guys need to not do any games. We have to film stop. But until next time, just as always, to all you guys watching, thank you for your support of this and your understanding through what the last year basically has been like for me. So I thank you for that and sticking with us. Continuing to support the OneRing.net and all that we do to try and promote Middle-earth and Tolkien and the works coming out of Peter Jackson and all the folks at Weta Workshop and Rings of Power and all that kind of stuff, and make sure that folks know all the good stuff that's going on, so that way we can continue to celebrate what I think is probably the best pulp fiction, popular culture license out there. So until next time, guys, later.